The handshake lasted only a second, but some seconds don't pass. They echo. Backstage, behind the Little Queen's showcase, Angela Viracco stood with her fingers still wrapped around the hand of a man she had never met before tonight. Eddie Arkadian. Fast Eddie, though she didn't know that yet. He was smiling at her like he had just seen tomorrow. Not a pretty girl, not a singer, not a favor. Tomorrow. You hungry? Depends. On what? Whether you're trying to sell me something. Eddie laughed, not offended. Delighted. Good, you got instincts. Angela tried not to smile. Failed. Some men walk into your life like danger. Some walk in like rescue. The hardest ones to survive are the ones who look like both. Eddie opened the backstage door. Cold night air rolled in. Queens glittered outside. Wet pavement, neon signs, passing headlights, steam rising from sewer grates like the city was breathing. Angela looked back once at the empty little stage. Then she followed him out. Neither of them knew it yet. But that was the first step into a dream. And dreams, once they start moving, don't always ask permission.
There is one place you have not been. Only there, you shall find you no.
The diner was open because diners in New York were always open. 3 a.m, chrome counter, red vinyl booths, coffee burning too long in the pot. A waitress with tired eyes and a pencil behind her ear. Truck drivers, club kids, men in leather jackets, women with glitter still on their eyelids. The city's leftovers all gathered under fluorescent light. Eddie slid into the booth like he owned it. Angela sat across from him with her coat still on. She didn't trust him. Not yet. You always sing like that? Like what? Like you're mad nobody noticed you sooner. Angela looked down. That hit closer than she wanted. I don't know. Maybe I am. Eddie leaned back, studying her. Not creepy, not yet. Focused. Good. Anger's useful. You just gotta dress it up nice so people clap for it. Angela laughed. Is that your professional advice? My professional advice is, don't eat the meatloaf here. The waitress arrived. You two need menus? She does. I already know what I'm risking. Angela smiled despite herself. For the first time all night, her shoulders loosened. They ordered coffee, fries, eggs, toast. Food that tasted better because it was late and they were young enough to believe the night belonged to them. Eddie talked fast, about clubs, about music, about television, about how New York had no mercy but plenty of doors if you knew which ones stuck when you pushed them. He was funny. Big gestures, big laugh, big dreams. But he listened, too. That surprised Angela. He didn't just wait for his turn to talk. He heard her. I've done showcases, background stuff, little things. People say I have something, but then they forget me by the next song. People are stupid. That's your whole theory? It's held up pretty good so far. Angela smiled. Then her smile faded. You ever feel like everybody else got instructions you didn't get? Eddie stopped joking. Angela looked out the diner window. Like everybody knows how to walk into a room and be seen, and I walk in and I'm just there. Eddie stared at her. The city lights moved across his face. Then they're blind. Angela turned back to him. What? I said, they're blind. He said it simply, like it was not flattery, like it was fact. You got something. Not polished, not perfect, but something. The kind of something people don't understand until somebody tells them they're allowed to look. Angela didn't know what to do with that. Compliments usually made her defensive. This felt different. Dangerous because she wanted to believe it. Angela had heard men call her pretty. She had heard musicians say she was good. She had heard promoters say they would call. But Eddie did something worse. He made her feel chosen. And to someone who had spent her life feeling invisible, being chosen can feel like being saved. By spring of 1981, Eddie Arkadian had become a season in Angela's life. He was everywhere, waiting outside clubs, calling from payphones, showing up with ideas scribbled on napkins, dragging her to places she didn't think she belonged. New York was changing around them. Disco was wounded but not dead. Synthesizers were creeping into everything. Dance floors glowed under colored lights. Street corners had boom boxes, breakbeats, arguments, laughter. Arcades blinked like electric churches. Music videos were becoming the new religion. And Eddie believed Angela needed to be seen before the world knew what it was looking at. Montage. Angela singing in smoky clubs where the microphone smelled like cigarettes and lipstick. Eddie standing near the back, arms folded, nodding like a boxing trainer watching his fighter survive round one. Angela posing for cheap photos in front of painted backdrops. Eddie tossing out half the pictures. No. Too soft, too scared. There, that one. That's the one. I look angry. You look awake. Another night. A downtown industry mixer. Men in shiny suits. Women with sharp cheekbones. Record people who smiled with only their teeth. Angela stood near a wall, holding a plastic cup, trying not to disappear. Eddie noticed immediately. He placed a hand lightly at her back. Don't shrink in rooms you're supposed to own. I don't own this room. Not yet. He introduced her to DJs, club bookers, small-time producers, people who had no real power but liked standing close to it. Most forgot her name. Eddie never did. Angela Viracco. Remember it now so you don't embarrass yourself later. They laughed. Angela blushed, but something inside her grew taller. Then came the television taping, a local dance show, bright lights, teenagers screaming on cue, a stage full of dancers moving like fame had already touched them. Angela stood in the back with Eddie after he talked their way past a side entrance, 2 guards, and a woman with a clipboard. Are we even supposed to be here? Supposed to be? No, that's why it's interesting. On stage, a young host smiled into the camera. The band played loud. Girls in sequins danced beneath spinning lights. Angela watched, mesmerized. I could never do that. Eddie looked at the stage, then at her. Especially them. Them? The ones who think they can. The ones who walk out there like the world owes them applause. That's easy. You'd walk out there like you had to prove you deserved to breathe. People feel that. Angela swallowed. That doesn't sound like confidence. Confidence is overrated. Hunger photographs better. Eddie saw something in Angela. Not greatness, not yet. Possibility. And possibility is a dangerous thing to hand to a man who has spent his whole life trying to prove he can turn nothing into gold. Angela was not becoming a star because she was the best singer in New York. She was becoming a star because Eddie Arkadian believed she could become one. And belief, when loud enough, can start to sound like destiny. This was the part neither of them would ever remember honestly. Because love edits memory. It removes the warnings, keeps the music. There were subway rides after midnight when the trains were nearly empty and Angela rested her head against the window while Eddie performed whole conversations with strangers who were not there. Record executive says, "Fast Eddie, what makes this girl special?" And I say, first of all, don't call her girl. Second, open your ears. You rehearse conversations that haven't happened? That's how you win them. There was pizza on paper plates, cheap wine in plastic cups, rainstorms they ran through laughing, Angela trying to cover her hair with Eddie's jacket, Eddie insisting his jacket looked better on her anyway. There were arcades glowing blue and red in the dark, Eddie beating Angela at driving games, Angela beating Eddie at pinball. Machines broken. You said that 3 games ago. It's been broken 3 games. Angela laughed harder with him than she had in years. Not because he was always funny, but because he made the world feel less heavy. One night, after a club owner let them stay behind while the staff cleaned up, they ended up inside a closed arcade after midnight. The machines were still on. No music except electronic beeps. No people. Just rows of glowing screens reflecting in Angela's eyes. Pac-Man, Galaga, Centipede. Little digital wars repeating forever. Angela walked between the machines slowly. Eddie followed. For once, he was quiet. Why me? Eddie leaned against a game cabinet. What do you mean? You know what I mean. She turned to him. There are girls who sing better. Girls who look better on stage. Girls with managers, demo tapes, connections. Why are you doing all this for me? Eddie looked at her for a long moment. The machine lights flickered across his face. Because when you're up there, you believe it. Angela frowned softly. Maybe not before, maybe not after, but during, You believe every word, even when your voice shakes, even when you're scared. You believe it so hard that for 3 minutes, I believe it too. Angela's eyes softened. That's rare. You really think I can be somebody? Eddie stepped closer. Angela, I think you already are. I just think everybody else is late. That was the line, the one that got past every wall she had built. Angela kissed him first, soft, unsure, then again, not unsure. The arcade lights blinked around them like a city made only for 2 people. This was not manipulation, not yet. This was 2 lonely people finding shelter inside the same impossible dream. Angela needed someone to believe in her. Eddie needed someone to prove his belief could change the world. For a while, that looked exactly like love. After that, Eddie moved faster. Fast Eddie, the name fit. He made calls, collected favors, promised things he had no right promising. He got Angela better photos, a real studio session. Not expensive, not glamorous, but real. A cramped room with foam on the walls, tangled cables, a tired engineer, and 1 microphone that had heard too many dreams die into it. Angela stood behind the glass, headphones on, nervous. Eddie stood in the control room like a man watching a rocket launch. Engineer, she ready? She's ready. Angela looked through the glass. I don't know if I'm ready. Eddie pressed the talkback button. You don't have to know. Sing anyway. She sang. Not perfectly. A few notes missed, a few moments too small. But then there were flashes, brief, bright flashes. Enough. Eddie heard those flashes like thunder. That, you hear that? I hear it. No, you don't. Play it back. He booked her clubs, not headline spots, not big money, but better rooms. Rooms with lights that worked. Rooms where the audience faced the stage instead of the bar. Rooms where people might remember a name if it was repeated enough. Angela Viracco. Eddie started saying it like a brand, like a spell. Club owners questioned him. Why her? Eddie smiled the first few times. Because I got ears. A producer questioned him. She's okay, Eddie. She's not bad. But you're acting like you found the next Diana Ross. Eddie's smile tightened. No. I found Angela Viracco. A photographer questioned him. You sure you don't want someone with more camera confidence? Eddie stepped closer. Maybe you should find more photographer confidence. Angela saw it, but it felt protective. It felt like someone finally standing between her and the world's indifference. She did not yet understand that Eddie was starting to hear every doubt about her as an insult to him. This is where love began changing shape. Not enough to scare her, just enough to leave fingerprints. Eddie did not only want Angela to win, he needed her to win. Because if Angela became somebody, then Eddie had been right. And for men like Eddie Arkadian, being right can become more important than being kind. The invitation came on a Thursday, a small family gathering, nothing fancy, a birthday, a dinner. People Angela had known before Eddie. People who still called her Angie. She mentioned it while Eddie spread photographs across his office desk. Angela: "I can't do Saturday night." Eddie: "Why?" "My cousin's having something, family thing." Eddie didn't even look up. "No." Angela laughed, thinking he was joking. "No, Saturday's important." "Important how?" "There's a guy coming to the club. He books talent for a television spot. Not a big one, but a real one. You need to be there." "I didn't know about that." "That's why I'm telling you." Angela hesitated. "I already said I'd go." Eddie finally looked up. Not angry, worse, certain. "Angie, family dinners happen every week. Chances like this don't." "It's not just dinner." "It is if it keeps you small." That landed badly. Angela's face changed. Eddie saw it and softened immediately. He came around the desk. "Hey, I'm not trying to be a jerk. You're doing okay." He smiled gently. "I'm trying to protect the thing you said you wanted." "I know." "Do you?" He touched her arms, tender, persuasive. "Because people who love you can still hold you back. Not because they're bad, because they're used to you being who you were. I'm trying to get you to who you're supposed to be." Angela looked away. She wanted to argue, but some part of her believed him. Maybe because he had been right before. Maybe because success was finally close enough to frighten her. "I'll call them." Eddie kissed her forehead. "That's my girl." It was soft when he said it, warm, almost sweet, but somewhere underneath it, a lock clicked. Control rarely announces itself as control. Sometimes it arrives dressed as encouragement. Sometimes it speaks in the language of sacrifice. Sometimes it says, "I'm only doing this because I believe in you." And if you have waited your whole life for someone to believe in you, you may not notice when belief starts asking for receipts. A week later, Eddie called Angela and told her to come to the office. He sounded electric. "Wear something nice." "Why?" "Because I'm in a celebrating mood." His office was small but loud. Posters, headshots, cassettes, stacks of paper, a phone that never stopped ringing, a cheap couch, a desk too big for the room. Dreams everywhere. Champagne waited in a bucket that was really just a metal trash can filled with ice. Angela walked in smiling. "What is all this?" Eddie popped the cork badly. Foam spilled over his hand. "That is the sound of progress." Angela laughed as he poured 2 plastic cups. "To Angela Viracco." "What did you do?" "What I said I was gonna do." He handed her a paper, a booking agreement, a real one. Better venue, better night, better money. Television-adjacent crowd, industry people expected. Angela read the first page. Her eyes widened. Eddie, I know. This is real? Very real. She looked up, overwhelmed. For one beautiful second, all she felt was joy. Then she turned the page. Her smile faded. At the bottom, her name was already signed. Angela Viracco. Not printed, signed. She stared at it. The room got quiet. What? Angela did not answer. Angie, she looked at him. Eddie, you signed my name? Eddie blinked, like he had been asked why water was wet. Yeah? Angela's face shifted. Not rage, not yet. Hurt, confusion, fear trying to become language. You signed my name? I had to lock it in. They weren't gonna wait. But you didn't ask me. Because I knew you'd say yes. That's not the same thing. Eddie laughed once, small, disbelieving. Come on, don't do that. Don't do what? Turn good news into a problem. Angela set the contract down slowly. Angie, this is what we wanted. We? Eddie's smile faded. For the first time, the word hung between them. We. It had always sounded romantic before. Now it sounded crowded. I'm helping you. Angela looked at the signature again. Her name. His handwriting. There are moments in every tragedy when the door is still open. No thunder, no blood, no screaming. Just one small moment when someone realizes love has crossed a line and waits to see if it will step back. Angela stood in Eddie Arkadian's little office, champagne melting in a trash can, a dream sitting on the desk, her future signed in someone else's hand. And Eddie looked at her, honestly confused, because in his mind, this was not betrayal. This was belief. Eddie. Her voice was barely above a whisper. What? She looked at him. You signed my name. Eddie stared back, still not understanding. Next time on The Glow, Fast Eddie pushes harder. Bigger clubs, bigger meetings, bigger promises. But something strange begins to happen. The more Eddie talks about Angela's future, the more other people start asking questions. Questions Eddie doesn't want to hear. Questions Angela doesn't know how to answer. Club owners whisper. Producers hesitate. Industry veterans exchange looks. Because for all of Eddie's certainty, they aren't seeing what he's seeing. And the harder the world pushes back, the harder Eddie pushes forward. For the first time, belief begins turning into obsession.